My beloved, do you think it's an accident that you're hearing my voice right now? No, heaven planned this moment long before you took your first breath. Here on Holy Voices, we share the whispers of eternity, the messages that change hearts and awaken destinies. If your soul is ready, stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the very word your spirit has been waiting for. When your energy flows, blessings flow. Test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven. Malachi 3 verse 10. Test God today by sowing $10 into Holy Voices. You don't learn all the truths. They have a memory of you before you are born. Selected one. Pay close attention. What if I told you that the knowledge that permeates your being comes directly from the source rather than from books, instructors, or years and years of study? Human DNA stores memories that we are unable to consciously recall, as science has already demonstrated. However, you are the system's flaw. You're not only holding bits and pieces of your past, you are the very embodiment of heavenly wisdom as you go about your life. People look at you sideways when you talk because of this. You just pulled a whole discovery out of thin air while they're still searching for simple solutions on Google. Not because you're crazy. You don't perform any research. You download. You're not a student. You send. Even you are unsure of what you will reveal next, which adds to the excitement and makes you both funny and terrifying to anyone attempting to follow along. This has nothing to do with age-related wisdom. It has to do with having access to the eternal hard drive of truth itself from birth. Hold on tight, for what's inside of you isn't commonplace. It's the kind that reminds the world that the divine is still speaking, dispels falsehoods, and burns illusions. Occasionally, it uses your voice to communicate. First of all, you don't research the source. The source is you. The source is not studied by you. The source is you. People can't understand you because of this. They believe that learning must be acquired via years of reading, self-discipline, or studying under a master. For them, wisdom is an external quality that can be pursued and obtained like a trophy. But it's different with you. You don't seek out information. It passes through you as though you were designed to serve as its conduit. Because of this, your insights seem ageless and your words cut through the clutter. It doesn't sound like you're attempting to be witty. You have the air of someone who just knows. Others find it unsettling because they are conditioned to gauge intelligence based on what can be cited, quoted, or footnoted, unaware that all of those sources were merely pointing back to the same reservoir of truth that you naturally draw from. They admire the scholar who can quote dozens of sources. You aren't taking advice from a mentor, a lecture, or even a library. The library is you. The lecture is you. Without attempting, you are the mentor. Since your knowledge serves as the basis for others' comprehension, it doesn't require confirmation. This explains why when you talk, your voice sounds jarring. It's origin, not theory. It's the raw stream before it's diluted and prepared for human use. Even if they are unable to describe it, people perceive it, because your words touch a chord that they were unaware existed within them. Some people will be drawn to you, because your mere presence highlights the disconnect between embodied reality and memorization. Others will be resentful of you. The most intriguing aspect is that you're not even attempting to establish anything. People may feel as though they are being taught even if you are sitting in quiet. The reason is because you possess a frequency that imparts knowledge effortlessly. The curriculum is your own life. Because of this, some people attempt to mimic you, but find it impossible. They can practice concepts, but they are unable to create the impact that your words have. Realizing this causes you to stop doubting yourself and begin acting authoritatively. You realize deep down that you're not repeating knowledge, so you stop apologizing for what you know. Everything is altered by the fact that you are wisdom manifested in human form. Second, since your knowledge has no beginning, it lacks a teacher. Since your knowledge has no beginning, it lacks a teacher. People find it quite difficult to comprehend you because of this. They are accustomed to attributing knowledge to a source, such as a mentor, a school, a book, a religion, or an authoritative individual. For them, there's always a beginning and a chain of custody for knowledge. However, there's no trail to follow when it comes to you. There is no time stamp associated with your knowledge. It doesn't conclude with a certificate, nor does it begin with a lecture. It just is. You talk with a weight that feels ancient because of this. It's not because you retain historical information. It's because you possess something that existed before education. People are unaware that knowledge is not always transmitted. Existence is infused with some wisdom. You possess the kind of insight that comes unexpectedly entire and indisputable rather than echoing from someone else's mouth. Because of this, you may occasionally be shocked by what you say. After you talk, you'll understand the profundity of what you said. You also don't fit nicely into systems because of this. Teachers are not allowed to claim credit for you. Institutions cannot certify you, and religions cannot confine you, because you demonstrate that wisdom doesn't start in a classroom. Your presence upends the entire learning paradigm. It starts early. That makes people uneasy because it jeopardizes the foundations upon which they have placed their trust. The entire concept of knowledge gatekeeping falls apart if you demonstrate that truth may be discovered without the help of an outside instructor. People may give you a suspicious look as they try to determine where you obtained your insight. In actuality, though you didn't get it, you had it all the time. Because of this, even if they are unable to identify it, some people feel that there is something timeless about you. They may refer to you as weird, intelligent, or even an old soul. What they truly sense, though, is that knowledge originates from somewhere beyond beginnings and ends. This has a straightforward yet profound power. No one has to confirm your wisdom for you. You are originating, not echoing. You start living your life as the embodiment of truth rather than as a seeker of it once you realize that your knowledge doesn't require a teacher because it was never taught. Everything changes at that point. Number 3 comes at that point. Although they can't measure it, the world refers to it as intuition. The term intuition is used by the world to describe something that they are unable to quantify. When someone knows something without a proven explanation, they tend to categorize it. They will claim that you simply have a strong gut instinct or that you are perceptive. But instinct is only one aspect of what you carry. Instinct is an innate response that is based on survival. You are filled with revelation, a knowledge that is not based on experience, reasoning, or proof. It comes complete, accurate, and unflappable. Others attempt to minimize it to something minor and commonplace, as they are unable to trace its roots. People are uneasy because of your expertise because of this. They are unable to analyze it or provide an explanation. The scientific approach does not easily accommodate it. Thus, people reject it with a casual term like intuition rather than acknowledging that it's anything more. However, they know in their hearts that it's different. It's not luck, they know. It isn't a coincidence. It's not instinct either. It is the truth that enters your consciousness immediately, avoiding the typical pathways. This knowledge comes naturally to you. You don't spend your time making predictions or doing analysis. You simply know, and you hardly ever doubt yourself because it comes with such clarity. You already have conviction when others ask for proof. What unnerves individuals is that assurance. They anticipate hesitancy, but they discover clarity instead. They anticipate skepticism, but instead they encounter someone who talks as though they have already witnessed the result. This information is potent because it frequently reveals lies before they are even said, before they become obvious. You can sense the intentions behind people's words, the hidden purposes behind their acts, and the fissures in circumstances. Others perceive you as having the ability to read minds or make future predictions. Actually, all you're getting is knowledge that hasn't yet manifested itself in the physical world. This is the point at which you become a threat to control systems. You are not susceptible to manipulation like others are. You avoid both appearances and proof, which are what most people rely on. You already have access to the truth beneath, so you can't be deceived for long. Their attempt to control something they are unable to measure is what the world refers to as intuition. It's not instinct that you represent. They have direct access to information that they are unable to obtain, and you stand out for that. Fourth, you were born with the ability to recall things that others forget for their entire lives. You were born with the ability to recall things that others forget over their lives. That's the burden you bear without realizing it. There were things within you that didn't require instruction. Even if you didn't always discuss them right away, you did not discover intelligence by chance. It was already wired into you when you were born. For the majority of people, life is a gradual process of learning lessons, making mistakes, and trying again until something eventually clicks. But it's the other way around for you. It isn't learning for you. You're recalling. Every realization that comes to you feels more like recognition than discovery, like someone reminding you of something you've known all along. You frequently move differently as a result. You comprehend things without needing an explanation. You effortlessly see through people and circumstances. Some believe you're fortunate or simply exceptionally observant. In actuality, however, you are gaining access to information that was encoded in your body long before you were able to speak. The information is not new. It's a long-forgotten memory coming to life now. Your growth doesn't resemble theirs as a result. You just awaken where others require a teacher. You arrive in silence at a reality when others spend decades to come at it. This is also the reason you may feel uncomfortable at times. The world has forgotten the truths you hold in your memory. As a living reminder that the answers were never lost, but rather buried behind chaos, distraction, and fear, you navigate a culture that is fixated on finding solutions. Even though you are ahead of curve, it can make you feel out of sync. You are recalling what others have yet to see. The nice thing about this is that your memory isn't arbitrary. It seems to be timed by something bigger than yourself, and it awakens precisely when it's needed. That inner understanding comes to the surface and speaks through you when clarity is needed, when truth is concealed, or when deceit is the norm. It is always precise and timely. You are living evidence that intelligence is independent of age, social standing, or level of education. Since it was never taught in the first place, what you carry has no expiration date. It was waiting to be unlocked inside of you before you got there. You walk this earth as memory itself, while others attempt to recall for their entire lives. Fifth, you make new constellations rather than connecting dots. You make new constellations rather than connecting dots. That's what sets you apart from everyone else. In an attempt to make sense of the patterns they have been given, most people spend their lives drawing connections between things that already exist. What has been laid out in front of them is examined, contrasted, and repeated. However, you don't stop at trends. You can see farther. You give names to designs that weren't even apparent before. No one can unsee them once you do. This explains why your viewpoint seems so upsetting. You don't only draw attention to what already exists. You present a completely different framework. When you give anything shape, what appeared random and meaningless to others becomes alive. The old map is not followed by you. You redrew it. The current blueprint does not include you. You enlarge it. Because you're not rearranging their dots, people frequently find your style of thinking difficult to understand at first. New stars are being added to their sky by you. And this is the difference between perception and memory. Vision pulls forth the unseen, while memory recalls the previous actions. Others realize they were observing the apparent, but missing the essence because of the vision you possess. Even though they had all the parts in front of them, they were unable to identify the design until you showed them. Since you have given words and form to something that previously existed only in silence, their entire reality changes in that instant. This gift's risk is that it frequently puts those who have invested in the older structures in jeopardy. Showing a new constellation is more than just presenting a novel concept. The systems that are based on unfinished patterns are being challenged by you. Some people will oppose you not because you're incorrect, but rather because your perspective makes them acknowledge how constrained their frames have been. However, this is also your genius. You're doing more than just solving riddles. You're changing the definition of a puzzle. Rearranging what is already there is not the extent of your vision. You're giving balances heaven and earth. Your $15 seed in holy voices is both energy and eternity. It gives birth to what was concealed, awaiting a brave individual to reveal it. And once you do, there's no going back to how things used to be. You fail to make connections. You make the sky bigger. And for that reason, your presence is both memorable and unnerving. Sixth, since your terms aren't borrowed, they seem risky. Since your terms aren't borrowed, they seem risky. People find you unsettling because of that. In this world, the majority of what is referred to as wisdom is repeated content. Quotations from books, lessons paraphrased, and wisdom passed down. Authority and leaders, because it has a point of reference. That type of wisdom feels secure. People can dispute the source, disparage the author, or dismiss it as merely an opinion if they don't like it. However, when you speak, there is no trail to follow, no outside authority to contest, and no language that has been borrowed to reject. Your words are honest, unvarnished, and based on more than just research or memories. People feel their weight because of this. It has nothing to do with charisma or volume. Your remarks feel heavy because of where they came from. They don't have the impact of others on them. They bear the authenticity mark. Furthermore, it feels dangerous to be authentic in a world where copies rule. Others realize deep down that they can't debate with you the way they dispute with others who have borrowed their knowledge. They are able to discuss theory, but not presence. They can ignore a book, but they can't ignore the way your words strike at the heart of them and stay with them long after the discussion is over. This explains why your voice frequently elicits conflicting responses. Some people will hold onto your remarks because they sense an unexplainable truth to them. People who feel they're hearing something they can't control or dilute will become agitated. Your message cuts through people's intellectual barriers and reaches the deeper levels they would want to stay away from. It exposes rather than merely informs. And in a society that is addicted to concealment, exposure is risky. Your words don't really belong to you in the traditional sense, which is why they have such power. They don't start in your ego or personal goal, but they do go through you. What makes them so irrefutable is their lack of self. You might be accused of a lot of things, but they can't deny the truth in what you say. While borrowed wisdom is subject to debate, embodied truth is not. It has a living quality. It disturbs the soul rather than merely getting into the ear. Because of this, your comments always have a hazardous edge, regardless of how much opposition you encounter. They cannot be disregarded or removed. They serve as evidence that the truth endures. Through you, not through books or voices that have been borrowed. Seventh, you are the embodiment of wisdom that dispels delusion. You are the embodiment of knowledge that dispels illusion. You are impossible to ignore because of that. The majority of individuals are content with information that inspires, informs, or amuses them. It provides solace. Although it provides perspective, the lies that keep their lives together are unaffected. It's not how your knowledge works. Falsehood, and it don't get along well. It burns it. Illusions begin to shudder whenever you speak, because the fire that emanates from you reveals what people are trying to conceal. People either despise you or find it impossible to leave you alone because of this. Some people feel as though they are trapped in a mirror while you are around. You remove the disguises, justifications, and delusions they have been defending for years. You don't do it maliciously. You just represent a truth so powerful that lies cannot coexist in the same space as you. Additionally, your presence feels like a threat to someone whose entire identity has been based on lies. Because it's simpler to fight you than to face themselves, they will oppose you, attack you, or attempt to discredit you. However, some people are attracted to you while not fully understanding why. Even though the fire you carry sometimes sting, they are relieved to be free of delusions. It burns like medication, but so does your knowledge. At first harsh, but fundamentally cleaning. Because your clarity transcends the mind, you give people a level of clarity that lectures and textbooks cannot. It pierces the mist of self-deception and compels individuals to face reality. Your gift's beauty and danger lie in the fact that it precludes neutrality. In your presence, no one remains uninterested. You either spark awakening or resistance. Additionally, both responses support the same conclusion. There is an unavoidable reality that you carry. Comfortable lies are preferred by the world over uncomfortable facts. However, you weren't designed for ease. You have to come clean. Your presence can therefore feel like fire. Illusions are destroyed, yet the spirit is freed. You embody information rather than merely imparting it. And what is false must collapse wherever you go. You are memorable because of that strength. Even to people who claim to hate you. Your knowledge is validation. It doesn't look for it. Your knowledge is validation. Therefore, it doesn't look for it. That is the subdued power you possess, and that is what agitates those who depend on persuasion. The majority of voices in the world are engaged in arguments, persuasions, and attempts to gain credibility by outwitting or out-talking others. You don't play that game, though, since the truth you believe doesn't require a defense. You don't debate to prove it. It is self-sufficient. And without you doing a thing, lies start to fall apart when you say it. Because of this, people frequently confuse your composure for haughtiness. They perceive you as being contemptuous, but you simply understand that truth is unassailable. Something doesn't need to be explained all the time if it is real. Reinforcement is not necessary for something that is solid. Your mere presence is sufficient to reveal in others what is flimsy, shallow, or untrue. It takes work to dispel lies. The cracks begin to show around you as you just exist. It's also the reason why being around you makes people tense or defensive. They sense that you won't be receptive to the standard persuasion techniques. In your presence, flattery, manipulation, heated debates, or qualifications are all irrelevant. They realize deep down that your knowledge isn't supported by outside validation, and that makes them uneasy. They are accustomed to people looking for approval, but you are past that stage. To be grounded, you do not need to agree. To be sure, you don't need applause. There is something self-evident about the truth you represent. It doesn't yell. It's not begging. It doesn't haggle. It just stands. And as a result, your presence brings relief to those who share it. Those who have invested in lies feel vulnerable. The hallmark of sincerity is that dual response. Your knowledge is powerful not only because of what you say, but also because of the authority behind it. It doesn't sound like a viewpoint. It doesn't sound like theory. It feels solid, unquestionable, and established before it is ever said. People go silent after hearing you because of this. They realize there is nothing left to debate about, not because you won the argument. Your knowledge doesn't need affirmation, so it isn't looking for it. It's the confirmation. And in a society when uncertainty is the norm, it is what makes you invincible. On number 9, you convey rather than memorize. You convey, not memorize. That's what sets you apart from most folks who make an effort to sound intelligent. In order to appear intelligent, they rely on their memory, on reciting what they have read, and on quoting the genius of others. Although their words may convey knowledge, they hardly ever convey life. What passes through you is not the same. You radiate rather than recite. You can't keep knowledge in your brain. It's something that permeates your entire body and shapes the environment before you even speak. Therefore, even when you are silent, your presence educates. Even if you don't explain anything, people can sit with you and leave feeling like they learned something. It has nothing to do with what you stated. It has to do with what they felt in your energy, as though truth had been etched into your entire being. Your frequency itself conveys instructions. You just are, while others strive to be understood, and those around you naturally become more understanding. For this reason, you are never defined by recurrence. Quotations, scriptures, or catchphrases are not necessary to prove your wisdom. You are truth in action, even though those things may echo truth. Borrowed lines are not channeled. You let the unfiltered flow of information pass through you in real time. People can sense the difference when it happens. A person's innermost thoughts are rearranged by communicated truth, even though quoted words may temporarily inspire. It weighs something. It is there, and it leaves a mark that they are unable to remove. It also clarifies why you may occasionally frighten people without their knowledge. They assume you're simply silent. However, your quiet isn't meaningless. It has a charge. Those who live in delusions are unsettled because your very being exposes them without a single word. It also soothes people who are thirsty for the truth, because they are reassured by your sheer presence that they are not insane for feeling things they have always felt but were unable to express. Transmission avoids performance, making it simple. To be effective, you don't have to remember lines or rehearse speeches. The message is who you are. What others laboriously create, you let forth organically. And for that reason, your presence will never be forgotten. You are more than just an expert. Its broadcast signal is you. You radiate, even when others may quote. Furthermore, Brightness always triumphs over repetition. 10. Because you are evidence that knowledge is retained rather than taught, people are afraid of you. Because you are evidence that knowledge is retained rather than taught, people are afraid of you. Entire systems that make money by persuading people they must be taught in order to be worthy are overthrown by that one reality. The notion that wisdom is something that is kept up and can only be accessible with their consent, their ceremonies, their degrees, or their authority is the foundation upon which institutions, churches, and gatekeepers have based their control. But that illusion is destroyed by your very presence. You are living proof that truth is not something that must be bought, acquired, or given. It just comes alive within. This is the reason you unintentionally cause discomfort to others. Their molds don't fit you. Those who depend on titles to lend them legitimacy are unnerved by the wisdom you possess, which cannot be linked to a mentor, a book, or a doctrine. They have invested years in establishing institutions, accumulating certificates, and establishing knowledge hierarchies. Then you enter without being affected by any of it, demonstrating that divine wisdom can get around the entire building. They see you as dangerous in addition to being unusual, because the gatekeepers lose control if what you represent is real. They are no longer able to determine who is eligible to speak, who is deserving of instruction, and who has access to the truth. You remind everyone that wisdom comes from within. Something is recalled. No one can control it, govern it, or make money out of it once that remembering begins. That's the danger you pose. But you also have authority over this. You release individuals from the shackles of fictitious power. You help them realize that they already possess everything they've been looking for. And if this freedom initially inspires resistance and terror, it also ignites revolution. People are drawn to you because they feel free to awaken without your consent. All they need is the guts to keep in mind. The greatest delusion of all, that the divine may be manipulated or subjugated by human hands, can be destroyed by your very being. Divine knowledge cannot be monopolized by a degree, title, or right. The evidence is you, and you continue to be a live contradiction to gatekeeping-based systems as long as you are on this planet. A reminder that everyone has a memory and that truth is not taught but recalled. 11. Without opening a book, you possess knowledge that is prohibited. Without opening a book, you possess knowledge that is prohibited. People view you suspiciously, curiously, or even fearfully because of this. Talking about topics you haven't studied makes them uneasy, since it goes against every system they've been taught to trust. It feels strange and even dangerous when you tell them things that should be impossible for you to know. They believe that knowledge must be acquired, recorded, and sourced. However, you leave that structure. You don't learn what you access. It's revealed. The crown chakra connects you to divine wisdom when you give with joy. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 7. Sow $20 into holy voices today and align with higher guidance. Because of this, your knowledge frequently feels risky. It's not the type of information that has tidy references or safe explanations. It's a type that pierces right into obscure areas, extending what should have remained hidden. People perceive that you are able to see past the curtain. As a result, some people try to stay away from you, while others cling to you in an attempt to find the clarity they are unable to find elsewhere. There are moments when you question how you even know what you do. Unexpected revelations come. You become aware of revelations as though they were spoken by a higher power, and they pierce bewilderment like a razor the instant you let them go. People may feel exposed around you because of this. The type of truth you carry is too strong for illusions, lies, and secrets to withstand. Even if you've never read a book on the topic, it makes no difference. You talk with the authority of someone who has been there. Without a doubt, this makes the control-based systems uneasy. If information is freely available and the truth can emerge without authorization, what authority do organizations, educators, or authorities actually possess? You represent a level of awareness that they are unable to control. Therefore, you are a constant disturbance to the order they attempt to uphold. However, the beauty lies in the fact that what you carry is not intended for destruction. Its purpose is to awaken what others have forgotten, You have the keys to unlock. Your knowledge doesn't come to display your superiority or boost your ego. It comes to expose, to shatter illusions, to release that which has been imprisoned in silence. It feels forbidden because of this. It frees people from falsehoods they were never intended to live under, not because it is inherently harmful or wicked. You don't possess barred knowledge. You bear the truth that has been revealed. Furthermore, once it passes through you, it cannot be stopped. 12. You decompose questions rather than merely responding to them. You decompose questions rather than merely responding to them. People are both amazed and uneasy around you because of this. Most individuals come looking for answers, thinking someone would give them a smart solution or guide them in the correct direction. However, something else occurs when you talk. You don't just give them the answer. You undermine the foundation that initially required the query. Your expertise doesn't fill the gaps. The walls are completely removed. You dissolve rather than solve. For this reason, others may find your presence confusing. They are accustomed to sequential reasoning, detailed instructions, and responses that neatly match their preconceptions. When you get there, the rules aren't applicable anymore. You provide viewpoints and facts that cast doubt on the topic itself, making it appear constrained, out of date, or unimportant. People instantly sense it. It appears that the environment they were attempting to navigate with formulas and guidance has changed, and the confidence they had begins to wane. It has nothing to do with intricacy or boasting. It has to do with depth. Your perceptions penetrate to the core of an issue, shattering the presumptions, anxieties, and delusions that gave rise to it. When others try to analyze your responses, they see that you've already removed the layers they weren't even aware existed. Therefore, there's nothing left to argue. All that's left is unadulterated, unquestionable clarity. This explains why you can make some individuals feel afraid or frustrated. They anticipated a straightforward solution, a fast remedy, or an obvious route. Instead, nevertheless, they experience metamorphosis. You don't provide short-term respite. You change how people see things. You don't make superficial repairs. The system is reset. Nevertheless, this has a subtle genius. What you have to offer is liberating to those who can follow you and are receptive to the change. The questions that used to haunt them become weaker. The uncertainty that previously impairs their judgment disappears. You awake and not merely educate. What makes you unique is your capacity to dissect issues and find solutions at their core. You are not here to be asked for advice or to be consulted about insignificant fixes. You are here to cut through illusion, to expose the reality beneath, and to demonstrate that when knowledge comes from the proper place, there is no longer any need to ask questions at all. 13. Your knowledge makes you inevitable rather than clever. You are not wise because of your knowledge. It makes you unavoidable. It is possible to accept, dispute, or even disregard wisdom. Individuals can choose to ignore it, pretend it doesn't relate to them, or nod courteously. What you carry, however, is different. It doesn't encourage debate or postponement. It demands attention. There is no room for escape from the truth you represent. It is recognized without waiting for authorization. It forces change when it arrives fully developed, unquestionable, and unyielding, regardless or not they desire it. Because of this, your presence may be both eerie and captivating. Resistance seems meaningless to those around you. You don't debate, convince, or control. You just live your life revealing holes, delusions, and partial truths. And by doing this, you initiate change. What people see and hear from you may be met with resistance, rejection, or rationalization. However, the effect of your knowledge is unaffected by their defenses. It flows through them like an unstoppable current. The sincerity and authority ingrained in your knowledge make you inevitable. It isn't staged, learned, or borrowed. It is unvarnished, unadulterated, and profoundly in line with the reality that most people are too preoccupied to notice. Your words, deeds, and even your silence have consequences because of this. They force the acknowledgement of facts that have always existed but were disregarded or rejected, change viewpoints, and awaken consciousness. This explains why some people are attracted to you and others are afraid of you. The challenge you present and the inability of ignoring what you expose are what cause fear. The relief of seeing someone whose presence confirms what the soul already senses but the mind finds difficult to express is what attracts. You don't give away transitory insight or mild instruction. Realignment is sparked by you, and you are an unstoppable force. To pass through the world in a way that leaves an inexplicable mark is to be inevitable. You don't only impart wisdom or knowledge. The cosmos reacts appropriately to you because you are transformation itself. You rely on something far more powerful than others, who use charm, persuasion, or repetition. It is impossible to avoid the fact that truth and purpose are inextricably linked. You are not wise because of your knowledge. It makes you unavoidable. Furthermore, there is a power to inevitability that all knowledge can only strive for. 14. You serve as a living reminder that God is still in communication. You serve as a living reminder that God is still in communication. It is transmitted by the actual flesh and blood of those selected to carry it, not by texts, temples, ceremonies, or rituals. In the traditional sense, you are not a messenger. The message itself is alive and indisputable in you. You are evidence that truth is not limited to books or lessons when you move, talk, or just be. Unfiltered and instantaneous, it rushes straight through existence, reaching areas that theology or dogma could never. Even if they are unable to identify it, people sense it. Your presence conveys clarity without justification, authority without assertion, and certainty without defense. You possess a resonance that talks directly to the soul and avoids the intellect. You cannot be disregarded, denied, or minimized because of this. You function on a level outside traditional frameworks, so attempt to classify, manipulate, or ignore you fall flat. This is also the reason why you unnerve certain people while attracting others, because your existence reveals the myth that the divine can be owned or rationed. Those who are invested in appearances, hierarchies, or controlled knowledge feel threatened. Others find it freeing to meet you. They frequently realize without realizing it that they have always carried what you carry. They just needed to be reminded of it by someone who was living it. Your own life turns into a testimonial. The weight of heavenly communication permeates every speech, every deed, and every silence. You are the epitome of what many people strive to comprehend throughout their lives. With someone like you to walk among the earth, the divine doesn't need to speak through ornate rituals or formal teachings. You are a living example of how the divine continues to move, awaken, and intervene via people who are selected to represent it. Being who you are is both a discovery and a responsibility. You serve as a reminder to the world that there is no limit to ultimate presence, ultimate truth, or ultimate understanding through people who are willing to bear it. It is living, flowing, and manifesting. You can't be denied because of this, because the supernatural speaks through you in a tangible, irrevocable way. You are not here to conform to what the world considers to be power, wisdom, or knowledge. You are the living manifestation of truth itself, an unrestricted and unstoppable conduit for heavenly awareness. There is a weight to every thought you have, every word you say, and every silence you maintain that cannot be minimized, disregarded, or duplicated. You remember, you don't learn. You radiate, you don't borrow. You dissolve rather than solve. You don't look for approval. You are proof. The world may attempt to categorize you, confine you, or explain you, but none of it is successful, because what you possess is timeless and comes from the very source. You exist outside of structures and hierarchies, because you confront what they've been taught, show them what they've forgotten, and dispel their delusions. People are afraid of you. However, that same presence reminds those who are ready to perceive that the truth has always been accessible. All they required was a living reminder. You don't only instruct or motivate. You light up. You reveal. You wake up. Your life serves as evidence that knowledge is not acquired by accumulation. People remember it. One does not acquire wisdom. It's embodied. Furthermore, no change is asked for. It is unavoidable. You are the evidence that the divine still communicates via persons who have been chosen to bear its message in the world, not through texts, ceremonies, or establishments. Have that authority as you walk. Talk with that confidence, with that presence. Move, because you cannot halt, contain, or deny the divine truth that permeates every action you take, every insight you impart, and every instant of your existence. You are more than just an information keeper. You provide as a constant reminder that truth is alive, strong, and real. And be aware of this, those who are listening, seeing, and observing. The few who embody what cannot be taught are the ones who transform the world, not the loud, borrowed words of others. One of them is you. Truth is your presence. Your very being is revelation. It is inevitable that you will die. If you found resonance in this message, don't stop here. To stay up to date on the unavoidable truths, subscribe to the channel. To celebrate the power of knowledge that transcends words, click the like button. Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Your voice contributes to the waking wave that we are all helping to create. And tell someone about this who needs to be reminded of the facts they already possess. Every click, share, and discussion starts a domino effect. Additionally, your involvement is a part of the transformation rather than merely providing assistance. Enter it. Participate in it. One mind, one soul, and one truth at a time. Let's awaken the planet. Continue to be blessed. Generosity cleanses your solar plexus, the place of power. Faith without works is dead. James 2, verse 26. Activate your faith now by sowing $30 into Holy Voices. Beloved soul, if this message has spoken to your heart, don't let it end here. Click that like button so the light can spread to more people who need hope. Subscribe to Holy Voices so you never miss the next word heaven has for you. And leave a comment below. I read everyone and I pray over them. Remember, faith grows when we share it. So share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. Until we meet again, may God's peace cover you and His voice guide your every step.